Here's what I'm going to start with today. This is a piece of American cedar. It's just been sitting around for a while, and we're going to make a comfort bird. We did the comfort cross, and I had some people ask me for a comfort bird. So here's my pattern. I'll show you how you wrap this around and get this to work, and then you just cut it out with your scroll saw. The rest of the work on this is carving it and a lot of sanding. So let's get to it. So what I've done is I've taken that cedar on my bandsaw. I didn't show you all the cuts. You know how to cut on a bandsaw. If you don't have a bandsaw, you can do this by hand. If you're patient enough, you can even do this. It's small enough. It would fit in your scroll saw if you've got one. Table saw, whatever. Now, as you can see, I didn't do a good job of keeping it straight. It was just all hand cut on there. I didn't use my fence. Just getting a random size so that it works, it fits. Then what I'm going to do, and some of you have seen this, when you want to make a 3D thing, I just sketched this thing out. And I have put it, I'll put it around it. And I have to switch the view so that you can see this. So hang on a second here. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. This is going to get mounted right to here. How about I show it to you? This is going to get mounted right to here. On this side, it's going to wrap around to this side. And what I'm going to do is on the scroll saw, I'm going to cut out this shape right here. I'm going to put it all back together, not glued, just taped, and then bring it around and cut this shape. And you'll see this, you'll see how it looks when we're done, but it's going to give us a three-dimensional shape of this bird. So it's going to have the sharp edges once I get it out of the bandsaw, or whether I cut it on the circular saw, I'm not sure. I'm sorry, on the scroll saw. And then we'll come over and we'll just start with the carving bits, and I'll probably use the flame burr just to rip this thing down to get it down pretty nice to the shape that I want. And then from there, like I said, all we're doing is sanding it until this thing is super smooth. You want this to be really smooth and soft feeling in your hands. I've never done it with this American cedar because it is a softer wood. We'll see how this does. I think it'll be just fine, and it's going to look nice too. It's got a nice grain pattern to it, so let's get started. All right, so here's what it looks like mounted to the piece of wood. Look at the bottom, there's that. I'm going to cut this shape out first, and then you'll see I'll put the sides right back on, tape it together, and then we'll cut this side out, and I'll show you that. I'm going to go ahead and set up now so that you can see this over on my scroll saw. I'm going to do it there just because it's easier for my setup for me to do that. So let's get going. I'll be right there. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do the scroll saw work now. And this is, obviously you can see this is pretty thick wood for my scroll saw. I don't know what blade's on there. I apologize. It's the one I used last. I want to say that it's a number 7. I'm almost positive that's what it is. Regardless of that, I do need to move slowly on here because there's a lot of wood to go through. Okay, there's something I do want to mention here. I want to make sure that I don't break this plane on this side over here. I want to try to stay inside here because I want a full piece. I want to just try to get 2 pieces off of this side and this side. That's it. I don't want more than that. It'll work with more than that. It's not a problem. It just becomes a little harder to hold them all together and more tape and what have you. So I'm going that route. Also, don't be too concerned about where your cutting is on here because this again is your basic shape that you're cutting out. You're going to be carving a lot of this away. I always want to go either on the line or outside of the line so that I have the room I need once I start carving. so that you can see what we have here. I was able to keep it all in one cut, and it's wanting to come out crooked. So there it is, just the top view. And here's this, and I'm going to save this. So now we'll put this right back in. I'm going to run some tape around here so it doesn't come off. And then I'm going to cut out this piece so that it will give me the three-dimensional shape of the bird. Now with this section, I don't really care if the pieces stay together because this is my final cut. So I'm just going to go around this, and as pieces fall off, it's no big deal. I will try to keep it together so that nothing shifts in here. I have it taped pretty good on the top and the bottom so that that piece stays in, but let's see how we can do. All right, ready for the big reveal. I'm going to pop him out of the side. Look at that. That piece is coming off. And there you have it. Pretty cool. It really does. It almost feels like magic when this happens. I guess I'm like a little kid at Christmas. You see something like this come out of what you just did, and it's really, really cool. So now what we're going to do is we have to round over all of these edges with our flame burr, and we do have to be careful. This beak is going to be pretty delicate. We want to kind of make it, beef it up. You can see that it's wider than it should be, but it's okay because we're going to form it when we start carving it out. So let me get my gear on, and I'm going to go ahead and start carving. Exciting. One really super nice benefit of working with cedar, um, the smell. It smells wonderful in here. So this part here is kind of hard to freehand if you're not careful, especially with this. If you're doing something like with a piece of hardwood, maybe walnut, cherry, something along those lines, you're not going to have to be as super careful. Still careful, but not so hard to do. This, if you're not careful, that extreme burr bit can take a huge chunk out of this before you know it. So if you're not comfortable with that flame burr, you may want to jump in with one of these types of burrs here. It'll take some off, but it will keep it smooth, and it won't dig in and eat into your wood as fast or as hard. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to take my this bit on here, the sanding drum, and see if I can just get it a little smoother before I start doing hand sanding on it. Pretty cool. I got them nice and smooth, so we can see that most of the big divots are out of there. All the lines, the sanding lines, I've got those smoothed down as best I can. You can see the grain. I mean, I just love the look of the grain on this. Now, one really, really nice thing about these birds, there aren't a whole lot of details. This is as detailed as you're going to see. I mean, you can see that there's a beak. You can see there's a tail. If you feel like putting some indication of tail feathers or side actual wings on here, feel free. But I like to keep them simple. Now all that's left is to go and sand this. I'm going to start with 80 just to get it as smooth as I can with my hand. And then I'm going to just move my way on up, at least the 220, maybe 320, I'm not sure. The other thing you want to do is make sure, like I think this is only about 4 inches long, maybe a little smaller. You want to make sure it fits in your hand nicely, because that's what it's for. It's meant to be held in your hand and to rub on and just to keep kind of like a fidget toy, but it's more to give you comfort, something solid to hold on to, and to just get that tactile feeling to kind of help calm you down. So let me go ahead and start sanding. All right, right now I've got my 80, 150, and 220 sitting out. I'm not going to film the whole thing of me sanding. I believe that every one of you already know how to sand stuff, and I know that 0 of you want to watch as I sand this entire thing. I'll let you know how long it took once I get to the end and once I show you what we have, and I'll be right back. This is sanded down to the 150 mark. I've done my best to get any of the sanding lines out, any of the carving lines out, so it is really, really smooth. It feels super good in my hand. I'm going to go ahead and do the 220 and then probably even 320 just to get this super, super smooth finish on it. So I'll be right back and let you see what this looks like once we have all the sanding done. This guy is now sanded up to 400 grit. I'm not sure if you can see. Well, yeah, you can. It looks like an eye. That's a knot. I didn't plan that. It just showed up there. There's not one on the other side, but that's all right. It's kind of funny that it showed up right in that same, right in the spot where an eye would be. man, this thing feels so good. It's so soft, so smooth. So I'm going to go ahead and put some Howard's wax on here. It is, hold on a second, let me get it. I'm going to throw some of the Howard's feed and wax on here. This stuff is fantastic. It's a good, it's a wood conditioner and it's a polish. So once I get this on, I'll let it soak in, wipe it all clean, and then probably put another coat on top just to give it a nice sheen. And it's got beeswax in it. It's got orange oil in it, and it's a pretty cool product. So give it a shot if you don't have it already. And it's pretty safe to use. It's not food resistant, but it's good on their skin, so it's fine. Be right back. Okay, here we go. Put some of this in my hand. Let's get this little guy in here. And can't wait for you to see what this stuff does with the wood. It just pops it right out. It gives it this beautiful, soft look to it. It's a nice, warm color. You can see this is more of the heartwood. And here over on this side, we have the sapwood that was at the edge of that piece that I did. So it gives it a nice two-tone. The grain in here is straight, smooth. It just feels good. We have this here where it is just rounded around, and I just love the circular look to this thing. So there it is. I'm going to let this guy dry, put another couple coats on it, and I'll be back. Well, I have it done. It's completed. There it is. I've got 2 coats of the Howard Feed and Wax on it. I mentioned that I would tell you how long it took me to sand this thing to get it finished, and I did take probably a good hour and a half of sanding. It does take, like I said, that's the hardest part. Not the hardest. I apologize. That's the longest part of doing this piece, but it is the most satisfying. It's what makes it what it is. So there we have it. It's completed. I am so very much appreciative for you watching, especially if you made it this far. I want to thank everyone who has subscribed, who has commented, who has liked. You guys are growing my channel for me, and it's very much appreciated. If there's any specific type of content you'd like to see, please put it in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. I read everyone. I try to reply to all of them. And again, thanks so much for watching. Have yourself a wonderful day. Make sure you go out and carve.